Hello friends, welcome back to Testimony Tuesday. Today I have something that's a little bit similar to what I shared a couple weeks ago, but it's a little bit different place, a little bit different context, but again, about my fears. A little bit bigger paper giant, I guess you could say. This was a case where Jonathan especially had the conviction that we really needed to get out in the more city area and hand out tracts. We've got these little tracts that just kind of share something short, but try to encourage people to have an interest in God. And he really had this conviction, we need to like blanket the city. And so where do you start? Well, you start somewhere, you start somewhere small. And so we're like, okay, we need to go. And I was like, yeah, we probably need to go, but I did not want to go. There was nothing in me that like wanted to go. And then the night before, it was a Friday night, we were going to go the next morning. We listened to a recording, an old recording, by a man who shared a lot about believing God's promises and claiming God's promises, and he was talking about people who needed victory over smoking or this or that, and he really encouraged them to claim God's promises but also like verbally express their belief, their faith in God's promise. And as I was listening to that, I was just like, I'm so scared to go out tomorrow, but God has promised to be with me. And it's like, if I really believe God's promises, I don't think I need to be afraid. Like, I really would like to be done with this feeling, not feel this way. And so in my mind, I was kind of thinking, well, if I really believe God's promises, like, maybe these feelings will go away. Like, these feelings should go away, right? And so I was like, I'm going to put God to the test. And so I was trying to just focus on God's promises, claim His word, pray, and just be like, Lord, this is the time for you to prove yourself to me. That was really what I was saying, was God, please just prove yourself to me. And we got on the motorbike to go, and I was still claiming promises and still praying, and I had more peace about it than I'd had, but there was still just there was nervousness. There was plenty of nervousness in me. I was not excited to go, but I wasn't as scared as before. Anyway, so we went. We got there, and I'm kind of like, okay, like I get up to the first door, and it was kind of mechanical, but it was like I kind of smiled behind my mask. And just smiling kind of helped me feel a little bit better, so I just went from house to house, but like my body was still kind of like shaking almost the whole way. And we got all done, we handed out all the tracts we brought that morning, we came back, and I was just like, wow. Those feelings of fear never completely went away, but I realized something that I don't think I'd ever grasped so fully before, and that is that God is greater than my fears, greater than those feelings of fear. Those feelings were still there a little bit that morning, but God was able to help me to do it anyway. And the amazing thing is God didn't leave me there, because the next time we went, it was about a week later, I think. I was still scared, still a little bit nervous, still struggling with it a little bit, but I was better. And I chose to just try to keep claiming God's promises and know that He was greater than my fears. But then just a week or two ago, we went again. And it was just like, I had the most peace. One of the things was, between the time where we'd gone a couple times before and then the time more recently, there were times where I'd think about going out and it would just be like, oh, I don't really want to go. But then it was like, no, I was like so happy when we were done. It was one of the most rewarding like Sabbaths to like be able to go out and then come back. Like, it was so much better than just kind of staying to yourself. And it was like, no, I want that. I want that reward, that joy. And so I tried to focus more on that every time these negative thoughts came in. And by the time we went out this time again, it was just like, God just gave me a peace. It was like I still wasn't jumping up and down to go. Someday I think I'll be jumping up and down. I was not this time. But I wasn't scared. I wasn't all shaky. I wasn't all like, pits in my stomach. Like, it was great. And I'm just so thankful that God is greater than our fears. God can do what we could never do. And no, He doesn't always change us overnight. Sometimes He shows us first that He's greater than those feelings, but He does take those feelings away in His time and His way if we keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. So that's my encouragement. Keep your eyes fixed on Jesus. Keep your eyes on His promises and on what He has done and on the joy that is yours when you do His will. God bless. We'll see you next week.